this being your third season, it seems like you've been a lot more assertive or spicy this year.
Spicy? Think so? I'm not really spicy. That's good. I mean, I feel like for me, it's just my approach. It's just coming in and just trying to be dominant in anything the team needs. And so if that gives off spicy, which I really don't think it does, I feel like I'm like kind of quiet. Spicy? No, I just know it's spicy. Huh? But yeah, I feel like that's just been my mindset, is just coming in and just being the player that I need to be for us. Whatever that looks like, it looks like.
What do a locker room mantra, a dominating blowout, and a playoff spot all have in common? For the Indiana Fever, everything. Their 94-65 victory over the Washington Mystics wasn't just a win, it was a statement of survival and defiance. Amidst the triumph, Aliyah Boston dropped a line that's got teammates buzzing and fans wanting to know more. What exactly did she say? And how is it the mindset propelling Indiana into the playoffs despite missing their star Caitlin Clark and 4 other injured players? Stick around, because this is more than just basketball. If you're fired up for the playoffs, drop a comment saying Fever Playoffs. Let's go.
Playoffs! That's how we clinch, baby! We can't! W. Playoffs! Bow, bow, bow! Yeah! Playoffs, baby!
Mitchell in transition. Lays that up and in for our first bucket of the game. Sims off the cross again into the paint, lays it up and in.
How can a playoff team lose half its rotation and still find a way to survive? That's the story of the Indiana Fever this season. The roster didn't just take a hit, it was gutted. Caitlin Clark, the sophomore sensation who was meant to lead the team into a new era, was sidelined after only 13 games with a torn groin. Sophie Cunningham, gone with a knee injury. Chloe Bibby, out with a knee injury. Sydney Colson, benched. Ari McDonald, finished with a foot injury. 5 key contributors were out. Most teams would falter, but for Indiana, this became their ultimate test. She was averaging over 16 points and setting playmaking standards that had Fever fans believing the playoffs were not just a possibility, but an expectation.
When you think back to the beginning of the season, if someone were to tell you, like, this is where you would be, and this is your team, like, at the end of the season, like, genuinely, what do you think the reaction would be?
Probably no stinking way. I don't think, thinking back to the beginning of the season, that anyone would have ever foreseen it going like this.
When the announcement came that she was out for the season, it sent shockwaves, not only through Indiana, but across the basketball world. Fans who packed Gainbridge Fieldhouse were left wondering how this team could possibly keep up without their biggest star. Analysts quickly declared the Fever's playoff hopes over.
Even if things looked like it got harder, for us it was about sticking together, and I think through everything you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together regardless of who's on that floor.
But it wasn't just Clark. The constant rotation of hardship signings made Indiana's roster look more like a revolving door than a stable unit. A total of 18 different players suited up at some point. Imagine taking a team photo at the start of the year and halfway through realizing nearly everyone in it has been replaced. Odyssey Sims came in, Shea Petty stepped up, Ariel Powers carved out a role. It wasn't strategy so much as survival, and survival doesn't usually end in a playoff push.
For whatever reason, things happen, and you've got to continue to put your best foot forward. You got to continue to stay the course. This group has been forced to grow strong roots, and teams can go one of two ways when those things happen. You either use it to pull you together and as motivation to continue to get better and do it for one another and do it for your teammates that have been lost to injury, or it pulls some teams apart.
By August, the doubts turned into something else: resilience. What was meant to be the downfall of this team became their secret weapon. With no superstar to lean on, every player on the roster stepped up. The next woman up mentality, born out of necessity, became their identity. And when they took that mentality to Washington, the toughness that had been forced on them all season erupted into sheer dominance. How do you turn heartbreak into a 29-point blowout? The Indiana Fever found that answer on the road against the Washington Mystics in a victory that felt more like a league-wide message than just a basketball game.
When I look at this group, I'm just so incredibly thankful for the type of people that we have in this locker room, for the way that they have been able to continue to stay the course and bounce back and stay together, to pull for one another, to really be flexible enough to make space for different types of teams that we've had throughout the course of the year, and to continue to put ourselves in position.
This was the win that clinched their playoff spot and proved that even without Caitlin Clark, the Fever were powered by more than one engine. By halftime, it was competitive, but the tone completely shifted in the third quarter. Indiana's defense locked down in a way that didn't just slow Washington, it smothered them. The Mystics managed only 9 points in the entire third quarter. 9. That's not a cold streak. That's a defensive shutdown. Every passing lane was disrupted, every matchup contested, and suddenly, Indiana looked like the hungrier team on both sides of the ball. From there, the lead stretched past 20, then 25, and eventually ballooned to a 33-point gap at its peak.
Inside Howard, off the window, the bucket, and the foul. Petty three, knocks it down again. Lost the handle, gets it back, gets right to the hoop, and she drops it home.
Fever 94, Mystics 65. Indiana's in. And now you know, despite all the adversity, this incredibly resilient Fever team is going back to the playoffs in 2025.
The numbers tell part of the story, but the individual performances told the rest. Natasha Howard stepped up when Indiana needed her most, putting up a game-high 17 points and punishing Washington near the rim. Aliyah Boston delivered another steady performance, finishing with a double-double of 12 points and 11 rebounds, taking control of the paint on both ends.
And more than anything, y'all, big picture-wise, this group, there would have been so many teams that would have folded with all we've been through. And we just kept getting better, and we kept getting tougher, and we kept becoming more resilient, and we kept figuring things out, right? Like, we've had like 7 new teams throughout the course of this season. and no matter what, we've been flexible, we've been accountable, we've put each other in positions to be successful, and we've continued to put one foot forward and stayed the course.
And when it seemed like the Fever might need more scoring to put the game away, Ariel Powers came off the bench with 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, giving the team the spark it needed to keep the momentum rolling.
You just don't know what she's going to do. I mean, she's so crafty with her shot decisions. Howard right to the hoop high out the window. She's slicing through that paint. Aims for back tap, it ends up with Ariel Powers. Inside Howard, off the window, the bucket, and the foul by the rookie all-star Sonia Citron. Howard quickly back the other way tonight, back at 34.
The contributions didn't stop there. Lexi Hull was everywhere, diving for loose balls, harassing ball handlers, and turning defense into fast break opportunities. Shea Petty was flawless from deep, knocking down all 3 of her three-pointers, finishing with 13 points. Every role player who checked in left their mark. Even on an off-shooting night, Kelsey Mitchell contributed 10 points and steadied the backcourt.
Dolson had to stay home because she had an occupied side. In terms of a cutter in her area, she stayed. Petty three, knocks it down again. Flip it. He's just such a solid stabilizer for Washington. Howard right to the hoop, lays it up and in. 4th foul on Austin. Boston down low, double tongue, drops off to Howard, who lays it up and in.
5 different Fever players hit double digits in scoring, a rarity in the WNBA, but exactly what the circumstances required. Statistically, the turnover battle sealed Washington's fate. The Mystics committed 22 turnovers, which Indiana turned into 27 points. The Fever only gave it away 6 times, which meant Washington never had the chance to shift momentum back in their favor.
So Craves in there, get off and get loose. Mitchell three off the mark. Long rebound ends up with Sims. It's Sims, nice pocket pass. Boston foul line jumper.
It wasn't just that Indiana outscored them. It was the way they capitalized on nearly every mistake, draining every ounce of hope from the Mystics. So who does this team turn to now that their star is sidelined? The answer is still forming. While one player has risen to embody the heart of this team, it's Aliyah Boston who's leading the way. And what she said after the win was a sign of why she's become the anchor this team needs.
Boston got that rebound. Here's Powers. Lost the handle, gets it back, gets right to the hoop. There she drops it home. 8 on the shot clock here for Citron. So free screen that. And then they got the switch they want. Oh, couldn't get it in. Tough turnover there for Washington. The loose ball collected by Dolson, and Citron brings it over half. Powers in the passing lane. No one to beat. Lays it up and in. See if they can get back to that and connect plays with stat possessions with that level of effectiveness.
What was the one locker room mantra that had teammates fired up and fans cheering? You just needed to listen to Aliyah Boston after the playoff-clinching victory in Washington. She didn't just play big, she spoke big. Her words hit just as hard as her rebounds.
The finishing plays. Here's Paul, guarded by Citron. Hanging, fading, spits off the glass. My goodness. Be better served. Maybe 4 out, 1 in, and have him take turns with it. Oh. Clips them 3.
Boston has always been known for her poise and polish, but what she's doing this season is something extraordinary. Against the Mystics, she posted her 17th double-double of the year, breaking the franchise record. To put that into perspective, she's racked up 41 career double-doubles in just 2 seasons. That level of consistency is impressive on its own, but in a year where the roster looked like a revolving door of injuries, her steady production became the lifeline of the team.
Samples also back for the Fever. Here's Petty in the corner. He knocks it down. Dave Petty also spent time here.
Even in an off-shooting night, Kelsey Mitchell still found ways to chip in 10 points and steady the backcourt. When you looked at the box score,
Thanks to Alicia Clark and Jade seamless with the philosophy and culture and playing with joy as being the top tier point of emphasis there. Mitchell in transition lays that up and in for our first bucket of the game.
She finished with 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, leading the team with a plus-minus of +29. On the court, those numbers told the story. The Fever played their best basketball whenever she was on the floor. Without Clark, it wasn't just about replacing her scoring. Boston had to become the backbone of the team, the steady pulse that kept the Fever's heart beating. She chased down missed shots, anchored the defense in the paint, and distributed the ball with quick, decisive passes, getting teammates easy looks.
I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, we owned them in the second half. Hell yeah! 27 total points we held them to in the second half. 27 points off of turnovers. Hell yeah! And we took care of it. Only 7 turnovers for us. A complete team effort, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. I mean, it was just all really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Aaliyah, just through the adversity that you guys went through this season, especially maybe in August when people were going down left and right, did you guys feel like this was always possible to make the playoffs? Did you ever have the moments of concern or doubt? And what allowed you guys to just keep, the eyes on the prize more or less? Yeah, I think, just being someone in this locker room, you never doubt yourself and what you're capable of, no matter what happens. I think the entire staff, up to the head, just made great decisions when people went down on who to bring in, the type of people to bring in. And that was really our mindset. We never doubted ourselves. We never doubted that we could be in the playoffs. Even if things looked like it got harder, for us, it was about sticking together. And I think through everything, you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together, regardless of who's on that floor.
She wasn't just the center in position. She became the center of the Fever's identity. Or imagine the energy in the locker room after that blowout. Everyone's dripping sweat, still riding the high of a playoff-clinching victory. Teammates are laughing, relieved, but emotional, reflecting on the grueling journey. Caitlin Clark is on the sidelines. Sophie, Ari, Chloe, and Sydney are all recovering. But here's Boston, rallying the team with words as powerful as her performance on the court. She told her teammates, "Never doubt yourselves or your potential." It wasn't just talk, you could see it in how they played like they believed it. And her impact goes beyond the box score and one speech.
it meant the Fever played their best basketball whenever she was in the game.
Likes to get into their offense. You see Jade Melvin getting that defensive assignment on Mitchell. She picked her up pretty much three-quarter court. Boston, baseline jumper, falls. That's the advantage with Mitchell guarding her. 11-0 run right now for Washington. Boston got that baseline, misses, gets her own, and finishes.
How would you describe the locker room after the game today, just being able to sell? Well, we did make a TikTok, so I think everyone is just super excited. Like you said, it hasn't been a perfect road. And so for us, it's enjoying the little moments while at the same time understanding we have another game on Tuesday and then we have to prepare for the playoffs. But I think just being in the moment and being where our feet are and kind of just enjoying this one.
A younger team might lose focus after clinching their first playoff berth since 2016. But when Boston was asked about the mood in the locker room afterward, she laughed and said, "Well, we did make a TikTok," before quickly returning to leader mode. She reminded everyone that while they were excited, the job wasn't finished, and the next game and playoff still required focus and preparation. This combination of joy and professionalism is rare, and it shows how she balances enjoying the moment while staying locked into the task at hand.
Got a piece of glass for the finish there. Boston seal inside, comes right back for the finish.
Aaliyah Boston is proving she's more than just a rising star. She's the voice, the anchor, and the calming presence this team needs. If Caitlin Clark is the spark that catches everyone's attention, Boston is the foundation holding everything together. As the Fever head into the postseason, the belief and toughness she instills in the team aren't just for this week, they're shaping a culture that could last for years. Here's the question no one's asking. What if all these injuries were actually the best thing that could have happened to the Fever?
And we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. Okay, we got another one on Tuesday, and in the playoffs, ain't nobody gonna want to see us. Nobody. No one is gonna want to see us. That's right. Nobody. I'm not gonna sing it, but yes. So we continue to focus on competing to the standard, preparing to the standard. All right, and then we scare the hell out of this league. Hell yeah. With the playoffs coming. Come on. Here we go. Hell yeah! 3, 1, 2, 3. Hell yeah!
From the outside, it looked like a disaster. 5 players sidelined for the season, superstars benched, and a roster in constant flux. Yet here they are, locked into the 7th seed, celebrating their first back-to-back playoff appearances since 2015 and 2016, with a chance to move up to 6th, depending on how the final results play out. This season, 18 different players suited up for the Fever. That revolving door ended up building a roster that can plug anyone into a key role without missing a beat. Lexi Hull and Shea Petty stepped up when needed. Natasha Howard and Aerial Powers brought veteran stability. Kelsey Mitchell and Aliyah Boston are now proven playoff performers, not just supporting players. In many ways, Caitlin Clark's absence gave her teammates the opportunity to step into larger roles. And when she returns in 2026, she'll be walking into a locker room already infused with championship DNA.
I feel proud. I feel proud of these women and what they've been able to continue to do. I feel proud that we continue to raise the standard for ourselves and for one another. But I'm also, I look at this group and the roots that have been grown throughout the course of this season, and thinking about, not just where we are now and the opportunity that we have in the playoffs, but where we're going to be in the future.
This season tested the Fever in ways no one expected. Injuries stripped them down, but what was left wasn't weakness, it was grit, depth, and belief. For the first time since 2015, Indiana has a winning record and a playoff berth, proving that the identity forged under pressure is very real. Fans should see this as the start of a new chapter, not just a story of survival. The postseason is here, the momentum is real, and the foundation is stronger than ever. And that raises one big question. If this is what they can do with a half-strength roster, what happens when they're fully healthy again?